when it comes to our relationships in general, especially our relationship with Hashem, what is the difference between seeing and hearing? Now, this week's Parsha is called See, Re'eh. But if you remember, we said in Parshat Yitro that Hashem prefers us to not see, just hear. Like the quintessential Jewish prayer, Shema Yisrael, hearing is much more important than seeing. Now, don't get me wrong, seeing may be more objective, and that's why witnesses need to have actually seen what they're testifying about. Seeing is believing, but seeing is much less important than hearing when it comes to our general service. As I heard from my Rav, there is a machlokas about whether someone who is deaf is exempt from mitzvot. Now, there's no such machlokas about somebody being born blind, so hearing obviously is important. Hearing is understanding, and without understanding, we can make mistakes even in what we see. Without understanding, discipline might be mistaken for cruelty. If we had seen Hashem's glory at Har Sinai, we would have been very impressed. But because seeing is so external, you only see the superficial when you look at something, it likely would have worn off after a while, and certainly it wouldn't have led to a personal relationship with God. In order to get to know someone properly and personally, you need to hear them. You need to listen to them. This is the essence of sniut, modesty. Well, the truth is, Hashem does want us to see his glory eventually. First, though, we have to come and hear, which is why when we study the Gemara, the bread and meat of Torah study, the phrase Tah Shema is used, come and hear, because we are meant to hear and understand, and therefore internalize what we learn in order to come and love, fear, and trust Hashem. When it comes to the Kabbalah, Ma'aseh Merkava and Bereshit, which we learn after filling our belly with bread and meat, and which we are simply meant to receive, Kabbalah means to receive, the phrase the Zohar uses is Tachazi, come and see, which is why, by the way, it's permitted and even commendable to recite passages of the Zohar even if we don't understand. Just seeing them has a profound effect. Still, the goal when we finally come and see Hashem's glory is that it should be a much more profound form of seeing, the kind that comes after hearing. This week's Parsha shows us that through hearing Hashem by studying his Torah day and night, we come to actually gain this form of sight. You can call it insight. We come to a level of sight that is much higher than simply using our eyes. Now, in order to understand this, we are now going to see how the Torah actually transforms our personality to the point that we become more and more like Hashem. As it says in this week's Parsha, Achareha Adonai Elohechem telchu, ve'ito tira'u, ve'etz mitzvotav tishmaru, ve'kolo tishma'u, ve'oto ta'avdu, uvo tidbakun. Now, the Pniimiyat Torah teaches that our personality is formed by our knowledge, right? What we know. It works like this. Our personality, meaning our character traits and our emotional responses to the events that happen to us, and therefore how we react to Lamasa, are all determined by our internal set of rules and ideas. I'll give an example. A man gets very angry at his children, and he really screams at them. Too much. Later on, he calms down, and he apologizes. And he says, I'm so sorry. I lost control. I don't know what I was thinking. I was so angry that I lost my sanity temporarily. That's really not me. Now, the truth is, no, that is the real him, and I'll prove it. He didn't hit his children. In fact, he never hits his children. This goes to show that he is always in control, even when he claims that he's not. This means that in his internal set of rules, he does permit himself to scream at his children in certain situations. If they make him this amount of angry, then it's permitted to scream at them. That's his rule. And his rules also tell him that no matter how angry they make him, he's never allowed to hit them. Now, where did he form his set of rules from? From his Daas, his knowledge, what he knows about the world, his truths, ideas, and beliefs about life. Now, how does Torah study, particularly study of the Torah Sheba'al Peh, refine us? It's actually very simple. It modifies our Daas. Now, the one thing you need to know about knowledge is that it's very hard to change, especially as we get older. It literally forms the entire basis of our personality, our being, and therefore it's very personal and precious to us. We feel that if we change one of our fundamental beliefs, we're practically destroying who we are and rebuilding, and it's a very tough thing to do. So Torah study transforms us bit by bit. When we analyze Torah and turn it over and over with our Binah, our analytical thinking and understanding, the part of us that hears, like we were saying, we gradually refine our very Daas, our very knowledge. We start to see the world more and more like Hashem sees the world, and thus our personality starts to align with Him. So yes, we are meant to hear, and hearing leads to understanding, Binah, and understanding changes our personality. Now, the next thing we need to understand, how is it specifically that our Daas affects our personality, produces our personality? Well, this is also done through Binah. Our Binah has another function, which is called Tevunah, which is where we take what we know and we apply it to the world practically. For example, those with Tevunah are the true poskim of the world, the halachic decisors. As Moshe calls for, Anashim, Chachamim, Unvonim, Viduim. Nevonim is understood as men of Tevunah. Now, we all have Tevunah, and it is through our Tevunah that we decide subconsciously how to emotionally respond to any situation, and that forms the basis of our character. Tevunah is therefore the bridge between what we know, our Daas, and our emotions, our heart, and character. Specifically, it is called the Nun Sharei Binah, the 50 Gates of Binah, gates where the Daas passes through into our heart. This is because, as it says in the Oral Torah, we actually have 49 sets of emotions, which parallel, by the way, the 49 days of Sfirat HaOmer. 49 comes from 7 times 7, because there are 7 middos, and each middah can combine with another middah to produce an emotion or some kind of character trait. And of course, it goes further than that, but we say there's 49 gates of Binah for this reason. Thus, we can say that as we learn Torah, we refine each of our gates. We change the very way we think about life. And what does that lead to? To us feeling and responding more and more like Hashem in every aspect of our personality, all 49 emotions. As the Gemara says, what is the meaning of this phrase, after Hashem your God you should walk? Mahu malbish armim, af atah halbesh armim. Mahu bikeh cholim, af hu bakeh cholim. Now we can see why the Torah Sheba'al Peh is referred to as the 50 Gates of Binah, as we said in last week's Shvili Pinchas quote. And as the Shvili Pinchas also says on Parsha Vayechi, when we left Mitzrayim, we were on the 49th gate of Tumah, meaning our personalities were as bad as can be. Our emotional responses to the world and all our character traits were tameh, all wrong. But the goal is to study Torah so that we can reach the 49th gate of purity, of Tahara. And when that happens, we can then reach the 50th gate as a special gift from Hashem. We can go super rational. We can come to actually see Hashem's glory, something that can only be achieved through Torah. King Shlomo actually thought he'd reached that exalted level, so he wanted to issue judgments of the heart, as we said in our Purim shir, meaning he felt that his Daas was so refined that he didn't need to understand anymore. He could just see, and whatever judgment he felt in his heart would be true. Now, he was told, no, this is not correct. We cannot reach the 50th gate until the Mashiach comes. Many tried, but were refused, because if we were to see Hashem's glory now, our souls would leave our bodies and cleave to Him, and that's not right. So it turns out that it seems only 2 people really achieved this level, maybe Shimon Bar Yochai, but otherwise we know that Moshe did just before he died, and Shimshon did before he died, and he was in the middle of destroying the 50th gate of Tumah in the temple of the Plishtim, the temple of Dagon. And in order to achieve that, he first had to be blinded and lose his free will, and then he still died. So I hope this lesson in your soul and how it works has been clarifying and giving you insight into what you're doing every day and night when you learn Torah and turn it over and over, and then internalize that knowledge, that Daas, with your tefillah and your mitzvah observance. There is nothing more motivating and encouraging than insight into the wisdom of Hashem. In a stormy world where we feel like we're being pulled this way and that, especially in the world of social media, we feel like we're drowning, the Torah is our life raft, our boat, our rock that we can hold on to and grasp and know that if we let its truths wash over us and transform us as we study it with love and joy, it will rescue us and bring the Mashiach, when Hashem will finally smash the 50th gate of Tumah forever and reveal the 50th gate of Binah, where we can see Him and see all the good that He has in store for us. Specifically, see the good of the mitzvot that we've been practicing for this long and tiring galut. Shabbat Shalom.